I remember buying my first piece of Outboard analog gear, an Art Voice channel strip. And one part about getting that piece of gear I didn't expect was the latency I'd have to deal with. In this video, you'll see how you can use your own Outboard analog gear in your own Logic Pro sessions. Now let's get into it. So before we get started, if you're not familiar with latency, all latency is it's the delay between your A to D and D to A, meaning your analog to digital and digital to analog conversion. So what you're sending out of your interface and then bringing back into your interface. That whole round trip, there's a delay there, and we need to know what that delay is. Now, lucky for us, out of all the digital audio workstations, Logic makes this incredibly easy. So let's dive in so you can see how to do it. So I have a drum MIDI track and a bass MIDI track, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to press X to bring up all that I/O. The way I have things routed is I have outputs 3 and 4 coming into my G comp, and then out of my G comp, they're going into inputs 3 and 4 on my Antelope Orion interface. Then I also have some digital effects set up in here as an example of other things that we're going to do. So now let's set up the outboard gear. If we go here to audio effects, we're going to go down to utility, I/O, and then stereo. And I just mentioned that outputs 3 and 4 are going to the G comp, and then inputs 3 and 4 are coming back in, right? So now my signal for the stereo track is coming out of there. Let me press play. And so you can hear I'm going to move the threshold in the output so you can hear the audible difference. You can hear louder, quieter, less compression, more compression. Now it sounds fine, right? But we're going to hit this ping button right here, and it's going to actually calculate how many samples of delay there is in the A to D conversion, the analog to digital and digital to analog that we mentioned earlier. And there's 352 samples. Now we press play. It's taking all that into effect. We bypass. Another cool thing is you can change the input volume of what's going into the piece of gear right here, and then how much volume is coming back in. So if we want to make it quieter, we can just adjust this. But let's not stop there for this example. Let's go ahead and do I/O again, stereo, and now I want to use 2 other pieces of gear. So on this one, I'm going to use, I think it's 17 and 18. Let's go check. So in my effects, so this is the bass, so yeah. And then back in. You can see that's coming in here on this signal chain within my analog processor. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to ping it. And let's do the same thing over here for the drums. So you can really add all your outboard gear, but the fact that it calculates it so fast for you, whereas in other DAWs, you will have to count out the milliseconds in samples and put that into your DAW. Go over here, got a little distressor. And then you just bypass all of them. And that's it. And that's how you set up outboard gear in Logic. It's pretty straightforward. If you got this far and enjoyed the video, do us a favor and boop that like button below for the almighty YouTube algorithm. We'd greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video.